This month of the How's All That Workin' For You podcast is sponsored by J. Brooks Coffee Roasters in Memphis, Tennessee. Urban Joe is the house favorite at J. Brooks for cold brew coffee. The legendary flavor of Urban Joe will ignite your taste buds with captivating shades of cocoa and cream. With a pleasantly balanced, bold body, the dark roast lover will fall head over heels for this roast. Cold brew is very quick and simple to make. It contains 2/3 less acids than hot brew coffee, so it's a perfect choice for anyone who has reflux or needs a stomach-friendly option for coffee. And if you make cold brew at home, you can make both cold and hot coffee with your solution. Everyone loves an adventure story. Make your day an epic adventure with a steaming cup or cold brew of Urban Joe. To order this signature blend for yourself and learn more about J. Brooks Coffee, click the link in the show notes or visit jbrookscoffeeroasters.com. That's the letter J, brookscoffeeroasters.com. Welcome to episode 46. You are listening to the podcast where we ask, how's all that working for you? It's a bold question that sparks transformation. In this space, we are done with sugarcoating and we embrace authenticity. I'm your host, Rachel D. Baker, guiding you on this journey to create some breathing room, set healthy boundaries, and reclaim your time guilt-free. This is real talk with a bit of sass, and we're always seeking the truth in God's word. And today, my dear friend Sam is here, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait for you to hear from Samantha Semans. She is a wife, a mother of 4, a podcaster, speaker, and she's the founder of the Abundant Woman Collective, which we are going to talk about today. Sam loves being with her family, exploring her new state home, and has a slight obsession with coffee. We might have that in common. When she's not with family, you can find her cheering on other women, teaching the Bible, or building community with the Abundant Woman Collective. We have a lot in common, which we discovered when we met at a retreat in Gatlinburg. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Tell everybody a little bit about you.
Yes. Thanks, Rachel. I'm so excited. We did meet, yes, at the retreat. We were in the same small group. And I do remember we have so much in common. We have the same heart. So I'm super excited to share and just to be here with you. So thank you. Like Rachel mentioned, I live here outside of Nashville, Tennessee. We're originally from California. I spent my whole life in the same town, and then the Lord uprooted us and moved us to the South. And so it has just been such a fun, sweet, challenging, hard, definitely abundant season in our life. It's been so good. And so, yes, I'm a wife, I'm a mom. I love championing women and teaching them how to deepen their relationship with Jesus.
Yes, and you do it so well. And I'm excited for this conversation because you do talk a lot about living an abundant life. And I want to get into that. But before we can dive too deep, you got to answer the question that everyone answers first thing. And that is, what does breathing room look like or feel like for you?
I love that you do this. It's actually one of my favorite things you do on the podcast. So I'm super excited to answer. It's funny because I've heard this question a million times now through your podcast. And then I really had to sit with it and be like, what does that look like for me? And so thank you. And so I feel like breathing room in my life just looks like a space, to give me rest. Sometimes it's physical. Sometimes I totally need, your girl needs to not have anything on the calendar for this weekend, right? And I'll legit tell my husband that. But a lot of times it's mental. And so it's I need breathing room. A perfect example is I just got back from taking my oldest daughter to youth camp. And then this weekend, I felt like this internal struggle we were kind of talking about of what do I need to get done? Where are my priorities? What, a little bit of overwhelm. And so I had to honestly pause and I had to create breathing room. For me, I have to clean a space because I'm not going to have breathing room if I'm in a messy room or a messy house.
Yeah.
And so and then create physical time, actual time to be okay, Sam, are you feeling overwhelmed because you missed a week and that was hard for you? You're striving, all these things, right? And so it's just a legitimate, actual space that you get to create for yourself to give yourself time, I feel to process, whether it's in God's word, whether it's a physical, an actual nap, or everyone pause. Mommy just needs to figure out her emotions.
Yeah, right. I don't even know what I'm feeling right now. I just need a hot second.
Yes. Or like, why am I feeling this way? I'm overwhelmed. Cool. But why? Like, what? You didn't miss anything. Nothing emergency happened while you were gone, you know?
Yes, I love that so much. I think that's so important just to acknowledge I have these big feelings. I don't know why. And instead of just plowing through and moving to the next thing, creating that breathing room to sit with it for a second and say, what is this? Why is this here? Is it legit? Do I need to address something? Or do I just need a snack? Like,
Do I need Elijah? Do I need a nap and a snack?
right, nap and a snack. Listen, I love that story so much.
So funny.
So that's so good. I love that you've incorporated the physical piece of it, cleaning a space to have it available, and then time on the calendar to process things. That's so good. All right. I know that you are very, very familiar with juggling all the things. You know, we talk about that a lot here, all the things. You are mom, you are wife, you are business owner, you are women's ministry rock star. So, can you share with our people here just a little about what that journey has looked like for you so far?
Yeah, I love that you say journey because it has definitely been a journey. I didn't mention this part yet, but I'm a pastor's kid. So I grew up literally in the pew of a church, always in the church. My dad pastored, like he got saved and like sort of worked his way up, if you will. He got saved as an adult. And so we had always just gone to church since I was like 5 years old. And then later in life, he was a pastor. And so all that to say is that I've always been ingrained in the church and I've seen behind the scenes, I've seen, all the things. But then also I've always I don't know if it's like being a 90s kid because I'm 88. So like 90s.
I'm an 83.
Okay. So like all the things, like I grew up playing softball competitively. I did competitive cheer for 15 years. Oh, and we had church and you had school. And so, especially now having kids, I look back and like, I loved my childhood, like no complaints really, but just
Right.
more so like, dang, I was at cheer practice from 5 to 7, Monday to Friday with games on Saturday. And then, so like looking back schedule wise and having such a busy childhood, I feel like ingrained this in church and all the things, right? All the things, literally. I think it ingrained this idea that being busier was almost like a badge of honor. Like the more stuff you can handle, the more stuff you can do,
Mm-hmm.
then you're like a better woman or a better person or whatever. And so I sort of took that on. Like I can't remember a time in my life where I've only done one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been like ministry and career or ministry and working two jobs or like something, right? And so it's never just been like ever one thing. It's always been, which I'm sure women listening can relate to, right? You're like, whatever your roles are, you have multiple. You're not just a daughter of the king. You are a college student, a wife, a mom, single, divorced, like what, pick a label, right? That we put on ourselves, society puts on ourselves. But then you could like have hobbies and that's another label. And you could have interests and you get the picture, right? So by the time we're done, it's like Samantha Semans, comma, 45 different things that I would identify as.
Mm-hmm.
And so college was fine, growing up was fine, but there was a season before Abundant Women Collective, my fourth kid, so he's 7 now, he actually was born with seizures. And so before that was like that's like the breaking point in my life. Before that, I've always done ministry. It was always for free, but I've always done it. And so I was a youth pastor. I worked with Young Life, but I worked in a hospital. That was my career. And I thought I was going to do it until I was old and retired. But it came to that point where I needed to make a decision. My son has a medical condition that he grew out of, praise Jesus, but I can't work 12-hour shifts all the time. I can't live this hustle lifestyle. And so I ended up quitting the hospital and starting a marketing business. And so I grew that marketing business for 6 years and it was a multiple six-figure. I had a full team and I poured everything I had into it. And it just was one of my labels. I was super proud of it. It was another like chalk on the block. Like Sam is actually CEO now, not just, medical. She's can run a business.
Right.
What that did to me was during that process, I like physically burned out. The Lord was asking me to lay it down. And I was like, well, let me just work a little harder You'll hear that sort of frequently in my story in the past.
I'm going to need you to lay this down. Hold on. Let me try harder.
Yes. Let me make it bigger, Lord. What I'm going to do, I hear you. I see you. I see what you're doing, but I'm going to make it bigger so I can pay someone to take over and I'll just collect cash. One, that's not how it works in business.
I was going to say, because that's how that works.
It's like, come on, Sam. I want to like throw something at my own self back then.
I get that.
But that was the mentality. That was just, it was something I identified with. I was juggling all the things. And so anyway, the Lord is so gracious. He let me burn out, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did lay down the business. And a year later, I started Abundant Woman. And so, but it was during that year where I realized all of the things that I'm talking about now. I realized that some of my identity was in my labels. And I realized that some of my hard work was performance-based and good work-based and striving, like a whole lot of striving. And so I did a lot of like processing and searching and realizing, oh shoot, this is a theological like oopsie and also like a physical, like something that's just I sort of was raised with and I carried on. And so Abundant Women Collective is none of that. Praise Jesus. We don't strive.
Yeah, no, I'm with you because same, like we've already said, we have so many similarities, but I identify so much with these things that you're saying as far as constantly going, constantly doing, never just one thing, achieve your worth, right? And not that anybody ever outright said to us, you must achieve your worth. And not that we didn't know who Jesus was or hear about salvation of sins, but like we knew all those things, but also
Yeah.
that example that was modeled for us, the things that were cheered for us, if that makes sense. I feel all of that so deeply. And to come to the other side after being burnt to a crisp,
Mm-hmm.
I just so love how you've taken that personal experience and turned it into something that reaches so many other women and says, hey, guess what? I went through the crispy season, so maybe you don't have to, because same girl, that's what we're doing over here. Like, I didn't know how to create some breathing room. So can I help you do it, please? So that you don't end up like I
Can
was.
I point out the things that maybe I happened in my life so you can kind of see and yeah, I think if you would have, because I preached sermons on like good works and I don't think I believed that it like got me closer to heaven or anything. It was the Lord literally had to ask me, like, if I stripped everything away, would you be comfortable and confident in who you were just as my daughter? And I was like, well, shoot, no.
I mean, not so much. No.
I mean, yeah, like I'm doing all this stuff for you. And he's like, I don't need you to do anything for me. I need you to be with me. And I'm like, well, that punched me in the gut. So
Yes. Same girl, same. I know you don't need me to do it, but also like, I don't want you to be like mad at me or disappointed in me. So let me do all this stuff.
yeah.
I get that. Absolutely. Okay. So you founded from all of this, the Abundant Woman Collective, and you host a podcast with that same name, which is amazing. Everyone should listen. I would love to hear more about, we've talked about how you got there, but like what prompted you to found those things and establish those? And then also just what abundant living, as that is your running theme, what does that mean to you?
Yeah. So honestly, this sounds super Christianese, but I can say it with 1,000% sincerity that it was literally the Lord in the season prior to closing the business. I, again, felt like not only was the Lord shifting things, but he gave me this Jesus thing. And I spent like a year or so calling it this Jesus thing.
I love it.
And I was like, I would talk to my friends, be like, hey, there's this Jesus thing, like he's telling me to do. And they'd be like, cool, what is it? And I'm like, I have no idea, And so there was something like planted in me that I knew that I needed to do and like wanted to do, but I didn't fully see the picture until after I was obedient in the surrender, which is a whole sermon in itself. And also it was different because I've always worked in a church. The only time I've worked outside of a church was Young Life. And so that was on campus high school ministry, best thing ever. But like this Abundant Woman, though we champion churches, we love the local church, huge, small church. We've planted churches, huge church fan in all her beautiful flaws. But I had never done anything on my own. And so it really honestly was the Lord. I had gone to a retreat, which friends, I 10 out of 10 recommend because I was away from everything. And I just decided I hadn't fully 1,000% like done all the procedural things to close my previous business, but I would like in the process. And so I'm like, I'm going to go to their search retreat. I don't know anyone there. I know one person off the internet, but I'm just going to go. I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to just ask for the Lord to show me what this Jesus thing is. So I went to the retreat calling it a Jesus thing, and I left calling it the Abundant Women Collective. And it's totally the Lord. All of the names, the website, everything was still available. And I remember literally sitting in like this prayer. We were praying for each other, and the name had come, and I was like, "There's no way it's like, there's no way that name isn't taken. Like, it's a good name." I didn't think of it. It's a good name.
Right.
And so I searched it, I Instagrammed it, I did the website thing, and I was like, oh my gosh, you guys. And I will never forget, my friend Kara was like, well, duh, it's because you haven't created it yet. And I was like,
oh,
when friends can like see different, friends are so good at that. They can pour into you and see into you. But yeah, so that it literally was from the Lord. But one of my challenges has been, I really wanted to run it like a business. Like, hey, I've done this before. Let's just switch it and we'll make it Jesus and run it. And the Lord just told me no. And so it has been a full surrender, which has been a beautiful thing because the podcast was the Lord. It was the first thing he actually told me to do. Sorry guys, this is a secret. I don't actually listen to it. Now I do. But then I didn't listen to podcasts at all. I'm not like an audio learner.
yeah.
And so I actually didn't like podcasts. So I was like, God, I'm not going to start a podcast. Like I don't even like them. But I did. And it's fantastic. And I get to talk to Rachel and meet people like this. But literally, the Abundant Woman Collective came out of a place of full surrender. I believe that when you are finally at the end of yourself and you're willing to fully surrender, whether it's a ministry or a job or finances, whatever it is in your life, that you're willing to finally just be like, okay, Lord, have your way. That is when he takes the good thing. That's when he takes your wits in, I can't do anything more, and he makes it so much better. That is the abundant living. Like abundant living isn't wealth and prosperity. We are anti-prosperity gospel.
Love it.
I believe that the gospel is full of abundant life, but it's not because of anything we can do. It's not this elitist social club. It's literally abundant living comes from surrendering your wants, your desires, your entire life in exchange for what the Lord has for you. And saying it is much easier than actually practically doing it. But that's what it is. And because of your surrender, you get to walk in not only assurance of, eternal destiny in heaven, but assurance of faith. You get to walk in the fruits of the Spirit. You get to be diagnosed with your worst diagnosis ever, and there's joy on your face. That doesn't come from works or religion or prosperity. That comes from the Lord himself living in and through you. And so Abundant Women Collective, it is where we help women deepen their relationship with Jesus wherever they are in their journey. So whether you just started yesterday or you've been saved for 45 years, it doesn't matter. Come on, let's go.
That's so good. And just the idea of a community of women who are all going forward with that goal to live that abundant life, surrendering everything. And you're right, it is so much easier to say than to actually do.
100%.
And a lot of that, I think just comes from fear. We want to make sure things are okay and that we're doing things well and right and following the path we're supposed to follow, right?
Yeah.
In order to do that, I got to have my hands on the wheel and do the things I'm supposed to do. And I don't know why it takes so long or so many hard things to eventually realize like, oh, he's actually got this.
Like all of it.
And like better than me, better than I could do it. 'Cause he's God. And it sounds really simple when I say it out loud. Like, well, of course, idiot. That's how that works, but
It's not simple. Yes.
no, it's not. And so I love that is your heart for women, is to get everybody to that place. And there is a sense of freedom that comes with it when you do finally get there.
There is. I 100% like in the last few years, honestly, I've seen, maybe I just finally opened my eyes to it, but we're just all walking different lives. And so I've had this like trying to do the Abundant Women Collective. It looks different than what society and culture tell you, right? It looks different than the world. Living abundantly looks different than the world, but it also looks different than most Christians. And I don't mean like better or worse. I just mean not everybody when you're saved Like after you're saved, some people are like on cruise control. And so that's really not my heart. Like, I'm like, wait, I want hungry women. How come I keep finding people that like, we're all Christian, we're all going to heaven, which is amazing. Check, like we're good. But like, I want more of the Lord. And I kept finding like, honestly, churches or friend groups or whatever, where I was like, wait, like, no, let's run. Like, let's go after the Lord. And so even in our Christian worlds, we're at different points in our walk. And like some of us aren't as hungry right now, or a lot of what I've seen here, like where I live, is we live in a pretty nice area, right? Middle Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of us just get really comfortable and like complacent with just like, I'm good. Like life is good. God is there. I love God, but like, I don't need him all the time. And I'm like, okay, you stay there, then I'm gonna keep going this way. And everyone who wants to keep running with me, we're going to just keep running and deepening our relationship.
We're here.
I'll be here. But there is more. Like salvation is like everything, but it's not everything. You know what I mean? Like if you're not saved, it's everything. But once you're saved, there's so much more. And that's where the abundant living actually comes from, the more.
I love that. Growing that relationship and living in that place. That's so good. And you're right. You mentioned earlier, highly recommending the retreat. And, this year after our retreat a while back, I was encouraged by you and others to do my own retreat. And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever done in my whole life. I was just so grateful.
Oh, amazing.
And there's another one coming up this fall. We're recording, it's June. The retreat's not till October, but I'm already talking about it, sharing it. We've had a few ladies signed up, but I had someone recently say, like, that's so far off. How can anybody sign up for that and commit? And I told her what I have found, and this is why there are only 15 slots. This is not a huge thing. You want it to be where you can really talk and be with each other and encourage each other. But I told her what I have really found is those who are hungry for it, those who need it, who say, I am ready. I need that. It's a renewal retreat. I need the renewal. I need the breathing room. I need a reset to get my mind straight and focused. They're ready to commit and say, in October, in this weekend, several months, this is where I'm going to be. Just so everybody knows, like it's on the calendar, take the deposit, whatever it is, because that's the hunger they have and know that that's what they need. And they've prayed over it and God has spoken to them in that way. And so that's, I think, when those retreats do end up being so you were in a place that was what you needed and were ready for.
Yep.
When we both went, I think it was the same thing. That's where we needed to be. And so it's not that everything is for everybody, but I think you and I have found that this is something we've needed. And now we want to have a space for other women who are in the same boat. So
yeah. And you can still be last minute, Betty. Like you can sign up until tickets are out, and that's totally fine. Like I've done that for certain things where I'm like, my life is so crazy right now that I can't think till October. 100%. Here's a permission slip. You can do that. But there's some of you that are like, I know that I need this. Take all my money.
Yeah.
I have it. And then it's like something to look forward to. Like I can get through this. I know, and prepping your heart and mind, because retreats, so much happens at retreats, and getting in proximity with other women who are running after the same thing is so powerful. You could I've gone to retreats where or events even where I am completely depleted. I'm not even looking forward to it at this point.
Yeah.
And I leave completely full of Jesus, but also that community. These women it's contagious, really. And so getting a proximity of women who are hungry and running after the thing, renewal with you, that's huge.
Yes.
If you're listening to this, then sign up, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, if it's what you need, if that's where you are, it's here for you. I love that. And you have something coming up, and I for sure want to talk about that. Hey, it's Rachel, your go-to encourager and coach. I know you love our podcast talks, but imagine taking that connection to the next level in person. I'm more than a clarity coach. I'm someone who's been in the trenches, juggling all the things. I get it. I've danced with chaos, overloaded schedules, and the struggle to prioritize self-care. But I found the rhythm. And I've got the strategies to help your ladies create some breathing room. So if you're organizing an event, whether it's a conference, church gathering, or retreat, and you want a speaker who brings humor, real talk, and a dose of inspiration, I'm your girl. Let's chat about making your event a memorable one. Visit racheldbaker.com/speaking. That's racheldbaker.com/speaking. I can't wait to connect. But just real quick, for the woman who right now does feel like she is drowning in all the things, what would you want to say to her?
Yeah, I have learned this lesson. Like I said, I've been through several seasons of drowning and burnout, and my flesh, my type A personality, whatever you want to call it, Sam, has just pushed through. And I've pushed through and it's been fine and everyone survived or whatever. But I've pushed through at the cost of really seeing a side of Jesus that I missed. Like I missed until these last few years. I would just push through. Everyone got results or whatever the situation is. We survived, right? Like we're good. But I missed a piece of Jesus. And when I say that, I mean, I miss a piece of seeing his goodness, his glory, because instead of Sam pushing through, the alternative to that is resting and abiding and sitting still. And all of that is counter everything in my being. I don't want to do any of that. But that is exactly where the Lord wants you, because you can see his goodness. You can see that he's Jireh. He's your provider. He is Jehovah Nissi. He will heal you. Like he is all of these things for you. And you can't see the fullness in that if you're just, Sam can do it. I can override and let's go. Like he wants you to slow down. And I get like it doesn't seem possible, but I am sorry. I love you so much. So hear me. If I take a look at my calendar, there were times in those seasons where I would just veg out scrolling Instagram, or I would binge watch Netflix. And there's some weekends where I still do, because I'm like, I just need my brain to shut up. Like, honestly, I just need all of my tabs to close and watch something that's not sinful, but just is so dumb or easy to watch. Right. And so like, I get it. I hear you. I see you. But also what I feel like the Lord has an invitation for you to be like, hey, how about you just rest in me? How about you just sit in silence? Take a bath, take a shower. How about you sit outside and read Matthew and let me show the ways that I provided in the past, or what abiding means, right? So with every fiber of your being, you're not going to want to do this. And I highly, highly encourage you, if you are drowning, if you are stuck, if you are striving, if the world feels chaotic, to do the opposite and just rest and sit and carve out that space for just you and him.
Yep. Oh, that's so good. I joke a lot that when I was in that mode, it was, I've got this, I'm going to do the things. There's a lot to handle. Everybody just get out of my way. I've got stuff to do. But I realize on the other side of it that it was everybody get out of my way. And that includes you too, God. Not that I would ever say that or consciously think that, but for me to say, I've got this. Move. I'm plowing through. It's the same. I'm not saying, here, God, there's a lot. Can you help me handle this? I'm saying, everybody move. You too, Lord, I'm busy.
That's so good.
And to like actually process it in that way makes me go, ew, why was I like this? And I have to catch myself. Because like you said, that type A, get it done. It's a hard mindset to adjust. But that's so good. Just take a hot second.
And it's so easy. Honestly, the Lord is so ready for relationship with you that like, if that's been your mode, then listen, repentance is so sweet. It is quick. It is easy. It hurts a little, but it's so beautiful when you could just be like, God, I'm so sorry. I recognize that was me. Like, Lord, forgive me. And like, ask him if you don't have, like, he is in control of time and space. He is in control of it all. So ask him to not only forgive you, but Lord, will you create a hunger in me that focuses on you? I feel like a lot of times when I talk to women and they're in this burnout season or this like desperation, is they have this understanding, which is a whole other episode of how the world puts it on ourselves, but that's okay, is that they think they have to do it themselves because they're woman, hear me roar, all these things, but also The flip side is I've had several conversations where they think, well, it's not big enough for the Lord. Like it's not World War III. My kid has the flu, or I'm not dying, but like I can't pay my bills right now, right? Like they quantify their needs as if the Lord doesn't want every piece and part of them, right? Like if my kid was thinking that they had to do something on their own because they couldn't come to mommy and just talk to me about it or let me help them, like I would be heartbroken. And
Yes.
so if that's just little old me, how much more our Father wants that from us. So he wants to hear from his daughters. He doesn't care if it's, I stubbed my toe and it hurts, please heal it. Just like kids, right?
Yeah.
Or, hey, I'm drowning. My anxiety is at an all-time high. I can't breathe. Like help, like there is no spectrum on the Lord. Like he wants all of it. And so you're not bugging him. He wants to hear from you. There's no right way to pray. You just got to talk to him and be in conversation with him.
Right. And you're not so far gone that you can't come and be who you are. That's all.
I mean, honestly, especially that last one, you're never too far gone. There is nothing from your past, your present, your current situation that has you so removed from the Lord. You did not earn his love. And so you cannot unearn his love, right? I can't work so hard to earn it. So I can't do something so awful that I undo it. And so he is love. Like it is him. It is who he is. And so in that, we create this distance sometimes that's like, oh, I just did XYZ, or it sucks so bad. Homie, if you look in the Bible and you look at all of these people that he used to write, I mean, honestly, go to the first page of Matthew, and I think it's Matthew. I'm pretty sure it's Matthew. And it's like Jesus is like family tree.
Yes.
If you start pointing out the family tree, you got David, who's adulterous. Oh yeah. And a murderer because he wanted to cut it up. You got prostitutes, you got liars, you got cheaters, and then you have some normal people. So like that is legitimately his lineage. So you are never too far gone for the Lord to be with you and to use you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so good. Girl, we're preaching. We're preaching now. This is what happens when we get together. We just start going.
Off the cuff too. I love it.
Let's go. Let's go. Okay. Last couple questions. We're going to wind it down. Are there any tools or strategies that you have found that are really helpful for you to manage your time or allow for some breathing room in your life?
Yeah. I for sure, because again, it's super easy to be like, oh, just rest in the Lord and abide in the Lord. But you have to actually physically do it. In today's society, for me, that has looked like I have to actually carve time.
Mm-hmm.
I have to put it on my calendar. If it's on my calendar, that means it's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like I have a shared calendar, so I share it with my entire family. So like, if it's on my calendar, that means I'm more likely to do it. So literally sit down. I don't know what your life looks like or what season you're in. You could be nursing babies at 3 a.m. So maybe if that's you, it means you don't have to wake up super early to get this in. But if you have teenagers that sleep until noon like mine, or they at least want to, then maybe it means you wake up before them and you get some quiet time with the Lord. You make him a priority in your time, not because of religion, not because of checklists, not because you feel like you have to, but because you desire to have intimacy with the Father. And you do that through prayer and through reading his word and worship. And I promise you, if you make the space to do it, he will show up. Like he is ready and willing and waiting for you to create that space. And so practically speaking, I always say like create time. Chunk it out, put it on the calendar, whatever, digital, paper, I don't care. Put it on the calendar, make space for it. Make him a priority. So like for me, I make it really easy. I created this little Bible basket. It has my Bible. It has all the things I'm going to need in the morning, except for my hot coffee. Yeah. And I have a chair that I sit in. And like I have friends that do candles, and I try and do candles and I forget. So like whatever your thing is, right? Like a quiet chair, and it's the same chair, it's the same basket every day, and it's just easy for me because it's a priority. I've made it simple to do it. And so spend time with the Lord, and also go with the flow with distractions. So I have 4 kids. My oldest will probably be sleeping when I'm doing it, but my other 2, I swear to you, my 6 and 7-year-olds, they can smell me. Like when I wake up.
Yes. What is that?
And they can wake up right after. And so they have gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, mommy's reading her Bible. You're hungry. I will make you breakfast in 20 minutes. Or you're 7 and get yourself a glass of milk, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it has been so beautiful because I'm not on my phone scrolling. I have my physical Bible out, that there have been times where they get their Bible, where they want me to read to them.
Mm-hmm.
There are also other times where they're still like annoying and trying to get my attention, and then I have to pause and take care of them. Like, so just roll with the punches and distractions. But if he's a priority, then you'll meet with him. And so for a lot of us, it's just making him a priority, not out of obligation, but out of a relationship. And if you're like, well, Sam, I feel like I could still go every day without talking to the Lord. Okay, well, maybe it's time to have a conversation with the Lord, asking him like, God, can you give me an intro? I literally had to be like, Lord, can you please make the Bible interesting to me? Can you make it come alive to me? Can you give me an interest in reading the word? Like,
Mm-hmm.
ask him. He will give you the things like that because it is the desire of his heart. So
Yes.
ask him.
So good. And I love, there are several things from that I'm going to pick out and just.
Sorry, I just kept going.
No, it's so good. And I just have so many things in my brain after you get done talking. I'm like, and that, and that, and that. But I love that you have a place that you sit. I love that you have a basket that holds the things that you're going to need. So you're not looking for them when the time comes, because it just simplifies the process. You just got to get up and get there, and everything is there that you need. So it's kind of like when you're trying to build the habit of exercising or walking in the mornings. You set out the clothes you need, you put the tennis shoes, everything's right there. So you get up, throw it on, maybe half asleep, and walk out the door. It's the same kind of principle. So that piece I wanted to highlight. And I also appreciate how you mentioned that not every day is just like sunshine and roses and rainbows and goes perfectly. You set this time. It is intentional. You do want it to happen. Also, real life, whether it's kids, whether it's the phone rings, whether like the cat's puking on your carpet, like there's just things that happen all the time. And I think the heart of it to show up with the intention of doing it, and please, Lord, let it be. But also we can monitor and adjust and shoot for it again tomorrow. And just to say, I know it's real easy to hear those of us who have these, I don't know, whatever platform, podcast, soapbox. It's easy to be like, well, that girl just has all her ish together and studies her Bible every morning for an hour and drinks her coffee with the sunshine streaming through the windows.
The beautiful filters.
That's just not how it is.
No, it's real life.
Yeah. So it still looks like all the rest of life, just with the set intention and those things we put in place to try to make this thing a priority. So thank you for sharing that piece of it.
And I told my kids this actually like earlier this week. And I said, like, Jesus is portable, because that sounds really silly, but we get in the habit. For them, they were like we pray at meals or we pray at bedtime or whatever. And so if you're interrupted, if life happens, if you forget, like, Jesus is portable. If you're in the car, rock out to worship music, like spend time. So like he is with you always, but sometimes we like to leave him at home in our prayer closet when really he wants to go through all the things. If you're in the pickup line, if you're trying not to honk at the person in front of you, like whatever, but he's portable. He goes with you everywhere. So if your morning isn't Instagram worthy, which most of mine are not, then I do what I need to do. And then at the next space in that day, I try and get back to it, or I turn on music while I'm cooking, or, so
yes,
take him with you. He doesn't need to stay home.
That's so good. All right. Last two questions.
Yes.
Obviously, everyone needs to go and listen to Sam's podcast. We're just that link will be in the show notes. Other than that one, tell me a book or podcast that you would like to recommend to our ladies today.
Okay. So I am reading, it's taking me so long to read this right now because I'm taking so many notes, but he writes this in it's easy read. It's just convicting, but it's called Practicing the Way by John Mark Comer.
Yes, girl.
It's be with Jesus, become like him, do as he did.
Yes.
This is my jam.
Mm-hmm.
It is such a good, again, he writes it in like a very casual way. I'm also reading a different book about prayer. And that book's a little harder because it's just so smart, where I'm like, this is hard to read. This is not hard to read. Practicing the Way is not hard to read, but it's so good. And it's a little bit convicting, but it's reprioritizing Jesus in our life as being a disciple of Jesus instead of just a Christian.
Yes.
So it's really good. Have you read it? That's not why you're cheering it on?
It's sitting on my table.
Oh, it's so good.
I have so much respect and appreciation just for John Mark Comer in general. I've done a podcast on one of his books, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Love it so much. He has podcasts out. I can't recommend him enough. So I love that you're in that book. I'm in the middle of like 5 books right now, I think, and it's next on my list.
It's fantastic. Highly recommend.
Awesome. Oh, I'm excited now for that. All right. And last but not least, where can people find you and connect with you, and what's coming for you that we can get excited about?
Oh yeah. So all of my socials, I probably hang out on Instagram the most. But Facebook, Instagram, kind of TikTok. I don't really know how to work it. I just post videos, but it's fine. Abundant Woman Co. Abundant Woman Co. is my handle. And so come say hi. I literally love chatting and praying and doing all the things, talking all the things in the chats. And so come say hi. And then in November 15th and 16th, we're having our Be Loved event out here in Nashville, Tennessee. I have friends coming from Colorado and different states. So if you're in a different state, just come. Nashville is fantastic. And so we're going to spend the weekend deepening our relationship with Jesus, but also encountering the Lord's love in a way that we don't. This is not your typical women's conference. It is slower and intentional. And I'm so excited because it is different and it is going to be fantastic. And we've been praying for it for 6 months now. And so it's great. So go to theabundantwoman.co/beloved and you will see all the information there, but we would love to have you.
Yeah, and we will absolutely link that in the show notes as well. I am excited for that. I know that's going to be a blessed weekend. It's going to be so good. I'm excited for that. So thank you so much, Sam, for coming, having part conversation, part sermon. I don't know what all we did today, but I loved it all and I love you. So thank you for your time today.
Thanks, friend. Love you.
Love you.